What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Breakpoint Breakdown. It is so great to be back after a couple of weeks. We had an incredible Asian swing with so many storylines. When we were last here, we discussed the US Open final and the Laver Cup as well. And when we were here, I said that we would discuss Sinner and Alcaraz in Beijing and Tokyo respectively, and we will be doing that. We'll start by talking about Alcaraz in Tokyo. Then we'll move to Sinner in Beijing before we get to just the pure chaos and craziness that we had in Shanghai to cap off what just an incredible Asian swing that we had. We'll also talk about the race to Turin and the implications that the Asian swing would have had for that. We're only 4 weeks away from the start of Turin, if you can believe that. And then this week, we've also got the Six King Slam coming up. It might have already started by the time that this video is up. And we've got a trio of 250s as well. But let's start. Let's talk about Tokyo, and let's talk about Alcaraz there. He wins Tokyo, does Alcaraz. Straight after the US Open title, he wins Tokyo against Taylor Fritz in the final. It's his 8th title of the year. He is now 67-7 on the year. He's got the most wins out of anybody on tour this year by a mile. It's not even close. And he avenges the loss that he took to Taylor Fritz at the Laver Cup. Taylor was unable to produce the level that he did in San Fran. But this match was definitely more about Alcaraz and how he was able to raise his level from the one at Laver Cup here in Tokyo. Carlos wasn't making those errors that he was at the Laver Cup. He was incredibly good from start to finish in this match. I remember Alcaraz's first service game of the match. 30-all, Taylor rips a return, gets an error from Alcaraz. He's got break point in the first game. He's feeling good. He's just beaten Alcaraz a week ago. He's got break point to get a good start here. And we get to that break point. Carlos misses his first serve. And I tell you what, Alcaraz knows exactly what he's going to do on this break point. He kicks the second serve high to Taylor's backhand. And he knows that Taylor's going to hit it across return, which is kind of what you have to do off a high kick serve to your backhand. You're going to have to hit a cross-court return. And Carlos knows that he's going to do that. And that's exactly what he does. And Alcaraz goes huge backhand down the line, winner, to save that break point. I mean, look, I could just tell that he knew as soon as he missed that first serve, he knew he was going to have to do that, and he executed it to perfection. Again, I just want to mention this wasn't a bad performance from Fritz at all. Alcaraz just took it to a new level, as he often did in this tournament. We saw it. We saw this new level from him a lot during this tournament, which we'll get to later. But he just wasn't missing from the baseline. And he was going nuclear on his forehands, ripping it when he had the chance to, but not just going for broke every single time like we've seen him do in the past. It was measured aggression, which is exactly what Alcaraz needs to do. And we've seen that measured aggression now dating back to the US Open when he literally didn't drop a set until the final. And he only dropped one set here in Tokyo. And he's looking really good. And this is a new level we're seeing from him since the US Open. I mean, even before the clay court season, I mean, he was really good since the clay court season. Now he's turned up to another level. Let's talk about that 5-4 game, the final game of the match where Alcaraz served for it. One thing I will mention is that Taylor Fritz, it seemed like he had a leg problem early in the second. He did have his thigh taped up. Probably hindered his movement, but not something too bad. But anyway, final game at 5-4, Alcaraz is serving. He hits 3 different drop shots on 3 different points, all perfectly placed to help him win the title. And let's just mention this, because he was up 5-1 in the second. It looked like he was going to cruise. He served for it at 5-2, and all of a sudden, it looked like Taylor Fritz found a second wind, and all of a sudden, it's 5-4. It's 30-all. It's a huge pressure point for Carlos. and he's probably the only player that goes for those drop shots in that moment. I mean, 30-all, just amazing drop shot that he hits. I don't know any other player that would have gone for that in the moment, in history, to be honest. It was outstanding to see that, and incredible way to finish, an incredible title run that it was from Carlos. Now that this title run from Carlos was definitely not without its struggles, and the big talking point was the ankle. You have to go back to his opening round match against Sebastian Baez in the first round. First set, it's 2-all in the first, and it didn't even seem like a roll from Alcaraz. It just seemed like a bit of a wrong action that Carlos made, and he just started hobbling around on his foot, and it was a very scary moment if you were watching it, especially if you were watching it live. And he actually got down on the ground, and he had to have the medical team come out there. And they ended up doing an examination on it, and he did play on. He did come through that match relatively comfortably, 4-2, so good performance there, but his movement was hindered, and it was a very, very scary moment when that happened. But after he wins that match, that's when the questions start to rise. Is he going to finish this tournament? Will he have to pull out? As you know off the intro, he obviously didn't because he won the tournament. But he was quite impressive, to be honest, after the ankle roll. The final game in his quarterfinal match against Brandon Nakashima was one of the best games you will ever see from a single player. There were just some incredible cat and mouse exchanges that they had where Alcaraz came out on top. Just another level he was able to produce, and it's quite outstanding, really. You run out of words to describe some of the things that Alcaraz does. Semi-final against Casper Ruud, that's the one where he was pushed. He was pushed to 3 by Ruud. It was the only one where he went 3 sets. 6-4 in the third for Carlos. And Casper Ruud, he played a phenomenal match. He just came up on the short end. Casper was really going for it here. He was ripping returns, taking it to Alcaraz, which is what you have to do when you play him. Otherwise, you'll get absolutely pummeled. And Carlos was a little slow out of the gates, but he turned it up to another level towards the end. And that third set was just an absolute treat to watch with both guys at such a high level. But you know, when Alcaraz is at his high level, even if someone else is at their high level, Carlos is going to come out on top because he's got the highest level in tennis right now. Sinner probably a close second. So look, ultimately, was Alcaraz's ankle a problem? Yes. Did it affect his play? Not really. Was it bad enough that he would have to pull out of Shanghai? Yes. At least we learned, yes, he would have to pull out of Shanghai. Now, Alcaraz's secondary coach, not the primary, which is Juan Carlos Ferrer, his secondary coach, Samuel Lopez, he came out and he confirmed that Carlos had a grade 2 sprain in the ankle and that they had to have extensive daily treatment on the ankle every day for that tournament and for him to finish that, which totally makes sense. But grade 2 sprain, so it's a little bit concerning because it's not just like it was a simple ankle roll. That was a pretty concerning injury, but Carlos, he was able to get through a tournament like that, as we've seen from the greats in the past, where they'll get injured in a tournament and they'll still end up winning it. And I tell you what, we're witnessing some greatness right now with Carlos. I think it was a smart decision for Alcaraz to pull out of Shanghai, just knowing what's ahead for the rest of the year. You know, that number 1 ranking, you know, it's not after Shanghai, you know, it's not really a factor, which we'll talk about later, but it seems like he's probably going to end the year number 1. But also just to not further compromise the ankle, because you don't want an injury that runs into the start of the next year, and then that just causes more trouble. You wanna make sure that you can get this solved, and that it doesn't hamper you at the start of the next year going into Australia. So smart decision by Alcaraz and his team, and hopefully he'll be healthy by the start of the Paris Masters, but he does have the 6 King Slam as well, the exhibition there. So hopefully he'll be good there. Let's talk about Jannik Sinner now. he was in Beijing. And just like Carlos, he wins Beijing 6-2, 6-2 against Lerner Tien in the final. A big run for the young American from California there. Tien making his very first tour level final. And he's going to be at a career high of world number 36. So great to see for the young American. But it's a very, very dominant showing here from Jannik Sinner in the final, as he was firing on all cylinders to win his third title of the year. And shockingly, it's his first title outside of the majors this year. And it's only his third. That's understandable, of course, because of the suspension. He's now 43-6 on the year, which again, because of that suspension, it's probably going to be a little bit lower than some of his peers. When we were here last time, it was after the U.S. Open final, and we covered his comments that he made after the match against Alcaraz and how he wanted to change his game and be more unpredictable. Not only to not be a linear player, but ultimately to amend his head-to-head against Alcaraz, which he's a modest 5-10 against right now. He followed his comments here in Beijing, and it was evident that he was trying to do different things, and we can see that from some of the extended sets that we have that we're not used to seeing from him, as well as just some 3-set matches that probably should have been straight sets but ended up going the distance. Perhaps the most high-octane match that he had was in that round of 16 against Terence Atman, where he was pushed for about 2.5 hours. And Atman, props to him, he put on an incredible display. But you could tell Jannik was definitely trying to change things up, and that should have been a straight sets match, but props to Terence Atman for hanging in there, pushing Jannik, and they had a real battle. One thing that he was not doing as much before Jannik that he was doing as well, he was slicing his backhand a little bit more, maybe a little bit more subtly. I don't know. You could probably tell he was slicing his backhand more. But the main thing that he was trying to do, which is something that his friend and rival Carlos Alcaraz does really well, is the drop shot. And Jannik was trying a lot of drop shots here. And if I have to be brutally honest, they still need some more work. The drop shots do need some more work. One thing I do want to mention, though, is that through all of this and through Sinner trying to try more drop shots, I want to make something clear, because it's not like the drop shot has been something extinct from his game, because that's what people have been reacting like, that he hasn't had a drop shot at all and now he's just trying to do all of a sudden. That's not true. He has tried to mix in drop shots here and there in the past, especially during the clay. But what he wants to try to do is use it more efficiently and effectively, because that's what Alcaraz does, and Sinner wants to try his best to do that as well. He used it quite a lot here in Beijing, but a lot of the times he was hitting it, it was either sitting up too high, or it was it wasn't short enough in the court, and the opponent was getting there with ease. Now, I do believe that Jannik's going to continue to work on the drop shot, and he's going to try to make it into a real weapon. Now, will his drop shot ever be as good as Alcaraz's? No. And that's, again, that's a definite no. And the reason I can tell by that, the drop shot just isn't as natural for Sinner as it is for Alcaraz. Alcaraz naturally he has the feel, he has the hands, it just comes to him more naturally. Sinner, it's a bit less natural, and he's going to need to work on it a little bit more so that it can become an effective weapon, because that's what he wants. Something I also want to talk about is the match with de Minaur against Sinner. The Demon was really impressive here. Sinner ultimately won 6-2 in the third, and obviously they have the infamous record between these two. Sinner 10-0 coming into that one, now 11-0. But only the second time ever that Demon has been able to take a set off of Sinner. And look, Sinner not at his best, trying new things as I mentioned, but Demon are really, really good from the baseline here, and he took it to Sinner, which was great to see. de Minaur is in contention for Turin as well, which we'll get to a little bit later. But it's great to see de Minaur playing well against the big guys, because we know he's ultra consistent. That's what he's about. He always makes it to these big matches, but that's where he struggles. He struggles in the ones against the top guys. And it's good to see him make a fight here and not just let Sinner come through in straights, really pushing him. So nice to see that from the Demon. Now we can get to Shanghai and the absolute shock in Shanghai and craziness that we had in this tournament. And, I mean, where to start? I mean, I guess we have to start with Valentin Vacherot, the world number 204. Yes, you heard that correctly. 204 is the Shanghai champion. If you were not following this tournament at all, and I told you that Valentin Vacherot is the champion, you would have said, I'm sorry, who? Who's that? And on top of that, he beats Arthur Rinderknecht in the final, the world number 54. And oh yeah, Vacherot's cousin to win it. Incredible storylines here in this tournament. And this is going to win Story of the Year. Like, it's not even close. Like, this is the Story of the Year. Incredible moments at the end. But I want to talk about Valentin Vacherot and the characteristics of his playing style, because Valentin came into this tournament with only one tour level win. Not one title, one tour level win. And now he's a Masters 1000 champion, and he's going to rise to a career high of number 40 in the world. So he's going to go up 164 spots, which is incredible. But let's talk about Vacherot and his game style. He's a big server, right? He's 6'4", so he should be a big server, and he is a big server. He serves very well. He averaged 133 miles per hour in the final. He was around 60% for first serve, which is a solid percentage to be serving 133 and 60%. That's really, really solid, and that's where you want to be at. He's got a very solid backhand. It's more of a pace absorber than a pace creator. He's definitely more of a rallier, maybe than an aggressive type player, but he's got a really nice he's got a really nice low trajectory on the backhand. It's a flat strike. Like many of the backhands that you see nowadays, they're very flat and they have a low trajectory, but that's kind of what you want. You don't want to have a spinny backhand, because usually if your backhand is more spinnier, it's going to sit up for the opponent to attack on. So you want to have that flat, low trajectory backhand, which Vacherot does, which is what you want. He moves incredibly well as well for a 6'4" man. He gets to balls that you may not expect him to, but again, there's a lot of players nowadays that are tall and lanky, and they can move pretty well. I tell you what, and we're going to talk about the conditions, because that was a massive factor here in Shanghai. But it seems like Vacherot is good in humid conditions, because I did some research. He won 2 challengers at the start of 2024. Both of the challengers he won were in Thailand and India. So that tells me that he's pretty good in humid conditions, because those 2 places are very, very humid places. So it seems like a very fit player. I mean, if you look at his legs, you can tell this is a fit guy. And it seems like he was able to, his game bodes well in the humidity with that, I guess, that more rallier type player than aggressive player. His forehand is the shakier one. That's probably what's held him back. The fact that his forehand isn't as good. It's a little bit weird looking as well. He's got a very long take back. So that forehand is definitely the thing that's held him back, which is probably why he hasn't been able to make these bigger stages, or why we haven't seen him as much. But he's very good at the net as well. Covers the net well. Big guy, as we mentioned. Has some solid volleys. So those are the characteristics of Valentin Vacherot. And again, it just shocks me, because he's 26 years old, that we haven't seen him much outside of Monaco. He does every year for the past couple of years. He's gotten a wild card into Monte Carlo, but it just shocks me that we haven't seen more of him. And I guess the forehand is the reason. You know, maybe he just hasn't been as consistent He has had injuries. I know he got injured last year. He was actually playing pretty well. He was close to the top 100, and then he got injured, so that would have been tough for him. That definitely stunted his progress. But it's good to see him playing well now. Top 40 player he's going to be. Arthur Rinderknecht, what a run for him. He's a serve +1 player, big serve, big forehand. Now for Rinderknecht, I'm not going to say you could see this coming, but he's been having a good year in general. It's been a steady climb for Rinderknecht. He was very good at the US Open. He made it to the round of 16 of a major for the first time ever at the US Open. Ran into a hot Carlos Alcaraz there, but he actually did a pretty good job of pushing Carlos Alcaraz, got him to first set tiebreak, and then it was 3 and 4 from there on out. So it was a pretty competitive match, even though it was straight sets. And Rinderknecht has been just having a very solid year. And the names that Arthur beat to get here, I mean, he beat Sasha Zverev, he beat Lehechka, he beat Auger Aliassime, he beat Medvedev. I mean, these are all, top 20 guys, former top 20 guys. Very, very impressive run from Arthur Rinderknecht. You had the unique moments at the end where both players were emotional. I mean, this is two cousins who played together at Texas A&M. 2 years they played together in college. And their journey to get here was quite something. And as I mentioned, they're definitely going to win Story of the Year. But just great to see the seminal moments at the end between the two. This is something that they will cherish for the rest of their lives. And I'm interested to see how both Rinderknecht and Vacherot will end the year and how they will fare next year. Mainly Vacherot, because this run kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, he lost to the world number 864 just 2 months ago, and now he's a Masters 1000 champion. I guess it just highlights anything is possible. But yeah, I'm interested to see how Vacherot fares in the coming year. But great run for Rinderknecht as well. Let's talk about the conditions in Shanghai, because it was absolutely brutal. Every day it was over 90 degrees and the humidity was up in the 80s. It really was truly a survival of the fittest in Shanghai. And the randomness that we saw here, which by the way is nothing to take away from both Rinderknecht and Vacherot because they survived the heat and the humidity, but that was a significant factor that contributed to it. 7 total retirements in the entire tournament. As mentioned, Carlos pulled out pre-tournament because of the ankle. Sinner suffered from heavy cramps in both of his thighs in his third round match against Talon Griekspoor. He had to retire down 3-2 in the third. I mean, if you saw, those were some tough moments to see for Sinner. He could barely walk in that third set. It was really difficult for him, and so he's already in Riyadh for the Six Kings Slam. He's already practicing. It seems like he's doing pretty well, so good that he's recovered from that. But yeah, then Zverev, you had him losing to Rinderknecht in the third round. Holger Rune cramped in the quarters against Vacherot. So yeah, it was just so tough. Let's talk about Djokovic. Djokovic making his return to Shanghai after the US Open. His first best-of-3 match, I believe, since Geneva in May. So it's been a long time since Novak played best-of-3. Physically, Novak looked pretty bad all week. I mean, game-wise, he was looking great until that semifinal, but physically, he did not look great at all. He was really struggling. I mean, multiple matches where he was throwing up multiple times in multiple matches. The Munar match, I mean, as soon as he lost that second set, he fell over and he had to get medical treatment as soon as he fell over. So it was really worrying scenes for Novak, but he was able to battle through and get himself through some of those tough early round matches. But in the semi against Vacherot, I mean, he completely lost his legs. It seemed like he was struggling with a lower back injury as well. So, look, game-wise, I thought Novak was really, really good this week. It was mainly the conditions that he was struggling with, but again, everyone was struggling with the conditions. But it's tough for Novak now at 38 years of age, because as soon as Jannik Sinner retired with cramps, he became the firm favorite to win the tournament, right? After Zverev lost, he was the highest ranked player remaining in the field. And as soon as Sinner retired, we all looked to him and we said, okay, Novak, it's you. It's your chance to get your 41st Masters 1000 title. Holger Rune was still there, but we know he's not always a sure thing, and he wasn't here because he fell to Vacherot. But Novak Djokovic, this is the reason why we still think Novak can win a slam, right? When one of Sinner and Alcaraz gets injured and the other one retires, or let's say has an early loss like we saw this week, Djokovic becomes the favorite. He's been the third best player this year, especially at the slams. He's been the third best player, but now if you look at the race, he's been the third best player this year. And it's just tough for Novak, and you just wonder how long he is going to play. Because look, yes, he wants that 25th major, but how long is he willing to put in the effort to get there? You just wonder. Let's talk about Daniil Medvedev. Daniil Medvedev made the semifinals. He lost to Rinderknecht in the third set, 6-4. It seems like Medvedev has found himself again. But he's still struggling in deciding set matches. He's lost his last 7 out of 8 that have gone to deciding sets. The only one he won was the round of 16 match in this tournament against Lerner Tien, which was an absolute fabulous match. I advise you to go watch the highlights if you did miss that match, Medvedev versus Tien. An absolute battle. It was a war of attrition. We mentioned the humidity. Both guys were going at it. It was a near 3-hour battle. Medvedev suffered with cramps. Somehow got himself over the finish line. 6-4 in the third. Very impressive he was in that one. Look, he's made 2 semifinals now. Beijing, Shanghai. Beijing had to retire due to cramps against Tien. Good runs from him, but he's still struggling in big moments when the matches get tight, and that's something to watch out for. He is now in Turin contention though. He's skyrocketed about 5 spots from number 20 to number 15 in the race, so he's got an outside chance. He's gonna need to play well from here on out. He's gonna have to have some deep runs in every tournament until Paris-Bercy. So he's in Turin contention, and with that, let's actually get to the race to Turin right now. As we stand right now, Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner, they are 1 and 2 in the race respectively. Djokovic is 3, but it's very uncertain still if he's going to play it. He's scheduled to play Athens the week before, but we'll see if he plays Turin because he skipped it last year. Zverev is 4. He's basically in. He hasn't had the best of years, but he's played a lot, which has helped his cause to make it to Turin. Fritz is at 5. He made it last year. He's pretty likely to make it this year. Shelton is 6, and he made his return in Shanghai after sustaining that shoulder injury at the US Open. But he lost in the first round to David Goffin. Now, Goffin played a fabulous match, but Shelton, I don't think he's 100%. So I hope that Ben can be 100% and hopefully be healthy enough to make Turin, because he still has a little bit of work to do to get through. He could get some help from some other players that are in contention. If they don't play well, he could get some help, but I think he's just got a little bit of work left to do if he wants to solidify his spot. Musetti is 7 and De Minaur is 8, which is the cutoff. It's the top 8. And then 9 through 11 is as follows: Auger-Aliassime, Ruud, and Rune. We'll focus it there because those guys are realistically the only guys that still have a shot. Draper, he's technically 9, but he's out for the rest of the year. I mentioned in the intro, there's a trio of 250s this week: Brussels, Almaty, and Stockholm, respectively. Musetti, FAA, Ruud, and Rune are all in action this week. Musetti and FAA are in Brussels, and Ruud and Rune are in Stockholm. All of these guys are going to try to make some ground up here in the race. De Minaur is not playing, and he has a hip injury, which is so frustrating for him because he was dealing with the hip last year at this time of the year. If you remember, he had that horrific hip injury on match point in his fourth round match against Artur Fils at Wimbledon last year. And that really stumped him for the rest of the year, stunted his progress. He still made Turin, but he wasn't 100% for the rest of the year. He was misdiagnosed, came back a little bit too early, came back for the Olympics, only played the doubles there. But he wasn't right for the rest of the year, and you could tell he wasn't moving at his best. But he's an incredible competitor and an incredible fighter, which is how he got to Turin. But man, it'd be such a shame for him if for 2 years in a row he couldn't be healthy for Turin, because he could still make Turin. But it'd just be so demoralizing for him to have to, for 2 years in a row, play there not 100%. So I hope that he can be healthy enough in time for Turin. Six King Slam is this week. It returns after its debut last year. Jannik Sinner is the defending champion, and the field includes him as well as Carlos Alcaraz, Novak Djokovic, Stasha Zverev, Taylor Fritz, and Stefanos Tsitsipas. Top two players with the most slams get the byes, so it's not by ranking. So that means Djokovic and Alcaraz will get the byes. Zverev will play Fritz in a quarterfinal, winner to take on Carlos Alcaraz. Sinner will take on Tsitsipas, the winner to take on Jannik Sinner in the semifinals. Winner to take on Novak Djokovic in the semis. A little bit of controversy to have Tsitsipas be included. There's been a lot of chatter around if he should be included in this prestigious event or not. Look, he is the bit of the odd one out here in the field, right? He's 25 in the world right now. The other guys are all top 5. You do have to remember, though, Tsitsipas, former world number 3, 2-time Slam finalist, ATP Finals champion, and he's won 3 Masters 1000s as well. So he does have pedigree. And in Saudi, they're trying their best not to necessarily get the high-strength players, but the bigger names. And if you go down into that lower end of the top 10 and the even top 20, some of the names, they're still relatively newer names, younger names, and not maybe as known or as popular as Stefanos Tsitsipas is. So, look, is Stefanos Tsitsipas a little bit controversial given that for the past couple of years he hasn't been a top 10 player? Yeah, a little bit, but he's a name. And again, money talks. Looking forward to this event, though, Six King Slam, it was an absolute blast last year. It was a great event. And short-form content will be returning for this event for me, in Pacific time zone in the U.S., for me, at the end of the day, early morning, it'll be coming out. So looking forward to doing that. Love doing that. Stay tuned. I'll be making... The videos will be coming out on YouTube Shorts, Instagram, and TikTok. But anyways, that will do it for episode 39 of Breakpoint Breakdown. We made a lot of videos over the summer. It's definitely slowed down here in the fall for obvious reasons. But episode 39, we've made a lot of progress, and it's been a lot of fun doing this. And we're going to keep on going. Not sure when I'll be back. It might be before or even after Bear C, probably. Definitely will be back before Turin, though. We will be back. But short-form content, there might be a lot more short-form content coming out. Just stay tuned. Maybe not just Six King Slam, but some other things as well. But that'll do it here for this episode on Breakpoint Breakdown. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, all that fun stuff. I love doing this, and I will see you in the next one.